Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Andy's Witchcraft by me, Sacred Moon. I hope you're all having a wonderful day so far. Today's episode, we are going to discuss a topic I figured we could all use, especially with all the full moons lately, the blue moon, planets in retrograde, and everything just feels kind of out of whack. So today's episode, we are going to discuss self-care. And I'm going to discuss some of the things I do as a crystal pagan Buddhist to practice self-care. Some are going to be mundane, but the majority of these is going to be some witchy ways, because I know it's hard to stay in the routine of our craft when things are kind of difficult. And so these are ways that you could take care of yourself while practicing your spirituality. So let's get started. So self-care basically means taking care of yourself so that you can be healthy. You can be well, and you can do your job, and you can help and care for others while doing the things that you need and want to accomplish in a day. I feel like the main reason we have such a hard time practicing self-care is because we have this voice in our head that's saying you're being selfish, you have to focus on others, who cares if you run out of spoons, help others, do things for others, don't be a selfish person. And so I feel like it's important for me to say that it is not selfish to practice self-care, and it is not a waste of time. In fact, it is essential so that you can thrive in your everyday life. So repeat after me: I am not being selfish for taking care of myself. All right. I'm assuming you paused it to say that out loud, or if you don't want to do that, that's fine. But I feel like that was important to put out there. Self-care is a preventative medicine, and it is used to treat and soothe vulnerable people and those who are struggling. A little bit of a history lesson. In the 1960s and 1970s, self-care took off as being used in a political toolbox of the civil rights movement and women's rights movement. Self-care was used to empower those who felt that they were being overlooked and felt that they didn't have a voice. Because of this, self-care is seen as a holistic tool, and it is something that you must do to ensure that your body, mind, and spirit are healthy and being taken care of. So that's a little bit of a basic intro into self-care. And again, a lot of in the future, the next half an hour probably-ish that I'll be talking about this, these are suggestions that are mundane, and I am adding a little bit of a witchy twist to it, so that if you want to do it the mundane way, that's fine. If you want to add the witchy twist, go for it. Do whatever you feel comfortable with. Before I want to get into some tips and techniques, like I said, I'm a crystal pagan Buddhist, so I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the Buddhist teachings on self-care that I have researched and follow, so to motivate me to practice self-care. So in Buddhism, self-care is crucial to reach enlightenment. Right now, I'm going to read an excerpt from a website that I read. It's a quote that I literally wrote down. I have it taped on my wall, and it's something that really struck me. So, we all have a tendency to think, oh, I just sacrifice everything for others, so I'm going to give everything I have away, and I'm just going to work myself to death because I'm working for others. And it doesn't work. We have to be practical and take care of ourselves, take care of our health, take care of our body, take care of our karma, so that in future life we have a good rebirth. And so not to let either low self-esteem or attachment divert us from this. Sometimes with low self-esteem we go, oh, I'm not worthy of being taken care of, or I've got to sacrifice everything, give everything away for the Dharma because I don't deserve to have anything. And that's not good, because we have to be practical, and also we have to give, not in a sense of I'm unworthy, but from a sense of I'm worthy and I'm being generous. So that was an extensive quote. It's actually two separate quotes from a website I read. But That's basically the gist of what I was talking about. It's not selfish. You have to. You can't. The quote, the quote, you can't love others if you can't love yourself. Some people believe it, some people don't. And if you believe it, just know that the same applies for self-care. You can't take care of others if you're running low on spoons all the time. So in Buddhism, self-care and loving ourselves is protecting our karma. Respecting ourselves is respecting the Dharma. They believe that you shouldn't give everything that you have because you need to leave something for yourself to survive. Basically, the teaching is keep just enough to live comfortably. After all, would you give away your entire savings to charity and resort to living on the streets because you can't afford to pay the bills? No, absolutely not. We need to take care of ourselves equally to caring for others. We have to maintain a positive state of mind so that we can create good karma for the benefit of others, because we are all connected. To love ourselves is to be freed from attachment. It means that we rely less on others and more on ourselves for our own well-being. So, in conclusion, basically, the gist of all that is if we cherish ourselves more than everybody else, that is being self-centered and that is being selfish. But if we think my happiness is more important than anybody else's, forget others, that is being self-centered. But we also shouldn't go to the other extreme and say I'm totally worthless. I have no worth. Because if you do that, you are not using your potential. And then you're even physically becoming a burden to others. So you want to be in the center of those two statements. You want to respect your virtuous qualities and make use of them because they're there, and use them to benefit everybody, including yourself. So that is the Buddhist teachings on self-care. And so at the end of this episode, I'm going to talk about some Bible verses that show that you should practice self-care. But before we get to that, I'm finally going to get into the tips and suggestions on how to practice self-care. I split them into categories to keep myself organized. So the first thing, like we said, practicing self-care means taking care of your body. So let's talk about how to take care of your body. My first suggestion is physical cleansing, but you could add a little witchy twist to it. So physical cleansing can include facial masks, and facial masks with certain scents or ingredients can be used to make it witchy. Use those spiritual qualities of the ingredients and make it into like a sort of spell. So for example, honey scented facial masks can be used in abundance magic. Peppermint scented facial masks can be used for protection magic, and so on and so forth. Look up the qualities of certain scents and certain herbs and all that, and then use those to match what you want to manifest. The next suggestion I have is body cream. Rubbing some body cream to soothe your skin and just breathe it in, and it helps you meditate. And if you have allergies to scented body cream, you can even use the scentless ones, the ones without scent. And you could just say a little mantra or a little, chant a little spell you made as you're rubbing it on to manifest what you want. But if you can use scented products, then it's the same concept for the facial masks, scents and ingredients that correspond to your intentions, and making this mundane self-care method a little bit witchier. You can look up different ways to make it witchy, but the point is body cream is something I do on an almost daily basis to practice self-care. The next one for taking care of your body are baths. These are cleansing yourself physically, but you could also use them to cleanse spiritually. You could put rose petals in the bath, bubbles, a bath bomb. You could put crystals on the side or shelves of your bathtub if you have them. And some crystals that are good for self-care and prioritizing self are rose quartz, citrine, amethyst, moonstone, rhodonite, carnelian, rhodochrosite, amazonite, and green aventurine. And then you could also put candles that you have charged with the intention of self-love, or you could just put regular candles if you don't want to put in the effort to make like a spell candle. That's fine too. But the point is, bats, you could do whatever you can to make it witchier, and you can power them with the intentions that you want to cleanse yourself and relax yourself physically and spiritually. The next suggestion for taking care of your body is physical activity. You can dance if you're a dancer, because music is magic. It's emotional, and the words can reflect anything that you'd like. Connecting to a deity, manifesting something you need, letting emotions out. Music allows that, and dancing just can release all that pent-up negative energy that you have in you. If you're someone who works out, working out can also be a way to practice self-care, and you can make it witchy. Any physical activity that you make into a daily habit is a ritual, and that in of itself is a spell. So all you need to make this magical is intention. So thinking beyond the physical effects of exercise, and thinking more to what the energy you want your ritual to bring, and also commitment. Commitment to build your practice even when it feels less appealing, to motivate yourself to work out even if you don't want to. Rituals are not always soothing, and occasionally they do take effort, and so working out is no different. If you can't afford a gym membership, or you don't want to go to the gym, stretches in the morning works. You could hug yourself good morning. You could allow yourself to take a moment to appreciate the non-conscious things that your body does for you, like breathing, your heart beating, all those things that it does automatically to take care of yourself. I personally work out at the gym with Lucifer, so I'll play a playlist that I made for him and work out to it, and it really helps me connect to him while also learning to love myself and my body. The next suggestion I have to take care of your body, practice self-care, is eating. And the number one witchy suggestion I give to everyone is kitchen witchery. Make things that you love and put your intentions into your meal. Eating foods that you made to nurture your body physically and, again, spiritually. You could share your meals with others to spread kindness and positivity. If you learn about the correspondences of ingredients like garlic or even salt, spices, then you can learn to make this witchy and make the food that you're eating your spell. The next thing I have to suggest to take care of your body is sleep spells. Now, if you struggle with insomnia due to stress, you could do some spells to help you wind down for the night. But a little statement I want to give is, obviously if your insomnia is due to a medical reason, you should always talk to your doctor about what they can give you to help or what they can do to help. Always think of mundane explanations over spiritual ones. It's not always a spiritual attack that's keeping you up at night. Sometimes there is something medically wrong and you need a doctor for that. So please take care of yourselves. Please use your rationality and your intuition to know when to go to a doctor and when to use magic to help you sleep. But still, sleep spells can help me calm down right before bed. There's something I kind of do in addition to medical things I do to take care of myself. I have a massage oil that I rub on my neck and shoulders every night, and I always chant as I rub it on. I say, "Sleep, come to me, peace be," as I rub it on. And that's my night ritual sleep spell. It's something very simple. It takes 2 seconds to do, and I always feel much prepared to sleep after this. So doing something like this can definitely help you overcome anxieties that may come when you prepare to go to bed. And in addition to me saying go to a doctor if needed, I want you to know that taking medications does not make you less of a witch. A lot of people say you're relying too much on the medical stuff, you're not a real witch, and I want to put a disclaimer out there that no. You are not less of a witch for taking meds to take care of your body. Some things are mundane and they need science, and other times are spiritual and you need magic. You need to find that balance, and if taking medications helps you find that balance, then you do that. Do not think any less of yourself as a witch for taking meds. All right, so that's the end of my suggestions for taking care of your body. Now let's talk about things you could do to take care of your mind. The first suggestion I have is making space for reflection. And I have a lot of ways to do this because that's a very broad statement. So, to make space for reflection, you can meditate without intention of connection. So just take that bit of time to completely center yourself. Shut out all external stimuli like turning off the lights, shut your door, focus only on the room that you are in. And it can even help to just stare at a lit candle. So you could focus on the flame and inhale and exhale. And so you could do this for as long as needed. And this will just help you calm down and just focus on yourself, where you are presently, and just grounding yourself. You could also do visualization. So if you don't have an actual flame and you can't stare at a candle flame, then you could visualize one. Do everything above, closing your so turning off the lights, shutting your door, and then closing your eyes, inhaling, and every time you exhale, imagine yourself breathing out all of the stress and watch your stress be put into the candle, into the flame, and then when you're done, blow out that flame and watch the smoke that comes up the candle take away all the stress from you. And doing this every night can help you expel energy that you picked up during the day. I personally meditate with Buddha when I feel like I have to shut out the world. I listen to music, a playlist that I made for him. I stare at a candle flame in a dark room. I do some breathing exercises as well. And I also do a tarot reading with him to reflect on my meditation experience and see how I can improve as a person to better the world, but also better myself. The next suggestion for, making space for reflection is shadow work. Now, I do plan to have a full episode on this, and I'll be going into much more detail than what I'm going to do here, because you could have a full episode on this, let's be real. But for now, some information that you can use to get started. So just know, if you're wondering what shadow work is, it's the process of getting to know the parts of yourself that you are not aware of. So it's the unconscious parts of yourself. To simplify the process, we can break down shadow work into 2 stages. In the first stage, we get to know our shadow. So that's bringing it into our awareness, out of the unconscious into the conscious. And the second stage is to integrate your shadow and make it a part of yourself. The goal of shadow work is to harmonize opposites and move toward wholeness. So, 5 tips that I have for shadow work is 1, center yourself. Before you work with your shadow, you want to be in a calm, clear, neutral space. 2, cultivate self-compassion. You want to cultivate that unconditional friendliness with yourself. Without friendliness and self-compassion, you can't look at your darker stuff. Or you're just going to judge your darker stuff. And that's not going to make your shadows want to come out. They're just going to go back into hiding because I don't want to be judged. So, yeah. The third step, the third tip is to develop self-awareness, which is the ability to observe and reflect on our behaviors, thoughts, feelings, and attitudes. And again, you want to develop non-judgmental awareness. So staying aware in the present moment without an inner critic or any judgment. The 4th tip is to be courageously honest, seeing and accepting your insecure, selfishness, and tyrannical, nasty parts. And that can be challenging. But if you're honest with yourself and you're willing to see the quote-unquote ugly stuff, then you're good. You don't need to worry. And you definitely you'll be prepared not to judge. And then the fifth tip, do shadow work when you feel ready. Don't feel rushed in just because I'm saying shadow work is super important. It is important, and every witch should do it at some point of their practice. You have to. But you don't want to rush yourself, because some people have a little bit of trauma, some people have no trauma, and some people have a huge amount of trauma to unpack. And it can be very challenging when you're feeling rushed to do it and you're feeling stressed. Oh, I have to do it. So please, only do it when you feel ready. Don't feel rushed. The next suggestion I have to take care of your mind is to adopt a mantra. Having a mantra that you repeat and hold can help you deal with stressful situations. Your mantra could be anything you want. It can be poetry you find soothing, song lyrics, Bible passages, anything. It's just something you made up on the top of your head. That's fine. Repeating the words gives you something to focus on besides anxieties and stresses. So even if they're spoken silently inside your head, you can still do that. For me, my mantra is the serenity prayer. When I feel anxiety come on, I always say it. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And that is something I repeat on a daily basis. And it helps me. So find a mantra that works for you and do that. Write it down if you have to. Tattoo it if you want tattoos. Do what you got to do to remember it, and so that you can look at it whenever you need to. The final tip I have to take care of your mind is a self-love candle recipe that I use when I meditate or when I'm having a bad day. And so the ingredients that I use for that are red, white, or a pink candle, some rose petals, and an essential or multiple essential oils of your choice. And the list I have of suggestions are rosemary, lavender, rose, bergamot, and lang lang. And I like this every time. In fact, mine is almost done. I'm gonna have to make a new one, but it helps, again, to give you that visual and make a little spell that helps you take care of yourself. Finally, I have suggestions to take care of your spirit. And the first suggestion I have is to cleanse your space. You can diffuse essential oils or more uplifting scents that make you happy are used to cleanse your space of negativity and bring in more positive emotions. So I'm going to give a list again, and I'm going to state their traits just for your knowledge. So the first one is lavender, which has calming and relaxing properties. Then eucalyptus, which soothes and opens up your respiratory system, so it makes it easier to breathe. Orange, which is uplifting and a mood booster. Frankincense, which provides a sense of calm and grounding. Cedarwood, which helps calm your nerves. Peppermint, which helps relax your nerves and soothe aching muscles. Black spruce, which has calming and energizing properties, which makes it amazing for self-care. Coriander, which lifts your spirits and restores a sense of calm. Lang Lang, which relaxes both the body and the mind. And then I want to add any scent that is your personal favorite, even if their traits are not known for like meditation or relaxation or joy. If you love that scent and it brings good memories, use it. I love vanilla scented products, so typically that is what I use to cheer myself up and take care of myself. So you could do the same thing. Find a scent that you love and connect to and use that. The next suggestion I have to cleanse your space is burning incense or sage. And it's really the same scents as the essential oils listed above. But in general, Burning sage helps cleanse your space, and you're removing negativity, which in of itself, that action helps, remove any unwanted stuff. Then you can make a cleansing spray with water. So make water, use any ingredients that you can think of that has cleansing and protection properties, and just spray that around your space. And it gives a nice scent in the air, really. And finally, to cleanse your space, you can enchant a crystal or piece of jewelry for confidence and self-love and carry it with you throughout the day. And that really cleanses your body in a spiritual way, which is taking care of your spirit. The next suggestion I have to take care of your spirit is connecting to your deities and spirit guides. So even if you are a secular witch or an atheist witch and you don't follow deities, I'm assuming you have a spirit guide of some sort, whether that's yourself or even your families. You have spirit guides who help you on a spiritual level. So connecting to them can help. Take a bit of a time to connect and thank your spirits and deities, and that can really help you when you're feeling lonely or down. For me personally, I do the sign of the cross every morning when I wake up and every night before I fall asleep, and it's just to appreciate the fact that I am still here, and it's a way that I connect to Yahweh. So doing something like that, just a simple action to say thank you to your deities and spirit guides, can go a long way to practice self-care. You can also light any deity candles that you have and put intention in them when you're making them. You could sit outside and connect to the land spirits and plant spirits that are around, which can be really grounding because you are literally connecting to your roots. And then dedicating stuff that needs to get done to deities, and that can give you the motivation to do that. Me personally, I do skincare with Asherah. I work out and do glamour magic with Lucifer. I clean with the Brownie Fae. I pray and read the Bible with Yahweh and Jesus. And I do meditation and deep breathing with Buddha. So you having different things that needs to get done, and that'll give you the motivation to do it. Especially if your spirit guides and deities are going to push you and say, do it, do it, do it. That's definitely helping with motivating yourself. So that is what I have for connecting to your deities. And one thing that helps me practice self-care and taking care of my spirit as a crystal pagan is reading the Bible. So I'm going to list some Bible verses and read them. And they all help with self-care. So the first category I have are Bible verses that are on the importance of self-care. So what's the biblical evidence that self-care is important? I have 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verses 16 to 17. Don't you know that you yourselves are God's temple, and that God's Spirit dwells in your midst? If anyone destroys God's temple, God will destroy that person. For God's temple is sacred, and you together are that temple. So, if we are God's temple, that means we have to treat ourselves with respect and venerate our bodies. We have to practice self-care to the same extent that we take care of shrines to keep them clean, or priests clean churches. We have to clean ourselves because we are God's temple. The second verse I have is Ephesians chapter 2, verse 10. For we are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do. Again, if God created us to help others, we need to help ourselves before helping others. Like I said before, nothing more to it. So, what are biblical ways that you can practice self-care? Some Bible verses on how to practice self-care are as follows. The first I have is Mark chapter 1, verse 35. Very early in the morning, while it was still dark, Jesus got up, left the house, and went to a solitary place where he prayed. Here we see Jesus modeling a quiet time by himself and praying. To properly take care of yourself, You have to spend time by yourself. You don't have to be around people 24/7. You need some time to yourself to just reflect on what you did during the day, what you could do better, and so on and so forth. And you can connect with your deities and spirit guides on your own. Next, I have Mark chapter 6, verses 31 to 32. Then, because so many people were coming and going that they did not even have a chance to eat, he said to them, "Come with me by yourselves to a quiet place and get some rest." So they went away by themselves in a boat to a solitary place. Again, we see how important it is to have time alone to rest. We need sleep, and it's okay to rest, eat, and be an introvert. And you can't rest if there are people around you doing all these activities and energetic things. You need to relax on a spiritual level to relax on a physical level. And this verse just shows that. Next, we have Matthew chapter 15, verse 32. Jesus called his disciples to him and said, "I have compassion for these people. They have already been with me 3 days and have nothing to eat. I do not want to send them away hungry, or they may collapse on the way." In this verse, Jesus sets a precedent for eating and making sure we take proper care of ourselves. He wants us to be healthy, and he tells us that we deserve to take care of our bodies. He doesn't want us to starve. He wants us to eat and be healthy. So do that. Finally, we have Daniel chapter 1, verses 8 through 9. But Daniel resolved that he would not defile himself with the king's food or with the wine that he drank. Therefore, he asked the king, the chief of the eunuchs, to allow him not to defile himself. And God gave Daniel favor and compassion in the sight of the chief of the eunuchs. Self-care is being careful what you consume, not only physically, but spiritually. Do not just take people and food at face value. Contemplate on how it is going to affect you. Meditate on it. Now, I'm not saying you have to meditate every time you have to make a choice between a hot dog and a hamburger, but when I say meditate on what you consume, I mean, for example, doing drugs or joining a cult. You don't want to do those decisions on a whim. You want to think, how is it going to help me? Is it going to help me? Stuff like that. And that will help you be mindful of what you're consuming. And that in of itself is practicing self-care. Finally, I have verses that remind me that God cares for me and that I should care for myself too. So I'm obviously not going to explain each of these verses, but these are verses I read that when I feel like I'm worthless, these are reminders that Yahweh doesn't think so. Yahweh cares, and I should too. So, first is Psalm chapter 51, verse 12. "Restore to me the joy of your salvation, and uphold me with a willing spirit." Jeremiah chapter 30, verse 17. "For I will restore health to you, and your wounds I will heal, declares the Lord, because they have called you an outcast. It is Zion for whom no one cares." Job chapter 42, verse 10. "And the Lord restored the fortunes of Job when he prayed for his friends. And the Lord gave Job twice as much as he had before." 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 10. "And after you have suffered a little while, the God of all grace, who has called you to his eternal glory in Christ, will himself restore, confirm, strengthen, and establish you." 1 John chapter 5, verse 4. "For everyone who has been born of God overcomes the world, and this is the victory that has overcome the world, our faith." 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 7. "Throw all your anxieties onto God because God cares about you." Isaiah chapter 41, verse 13. For I, the Lord your God, hold your right hand. It is I who say to you, fear not, I am the one who helps you. And finally, Philippians chapter 4, verse 6. Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. So, those are all the verses that I have on self-care, and I hope you enjoyed them. Finally, I want to recommend 2 books on witchy self-care tips and knowledge that I use as reference throughout this episode on top of the websites and blogs that I've read. So the first book is The Witch's Complete Guide to Self-Care, Everyday Healing, Rituals, and Soothing Spellcraft for Well-Being, and it's by Theodosia, Corinth. And then also The Witch's Book of Self-Care, Magical Ways to Pamper, Soothe, and Care for Your Body and Spirit by Arin, Murphy-Hiscock. So, that is the end of this episode. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that you will plan to do some of these tips and practice self-care on a daily basis in at least one small way. So thank you for listening. If you enjoyed it and you're listening on YouTube, like, comment, and subscribe to this channel and get updates on when I'm releasing new episodes. If you're on Spotify, follow me for the same thing to get updates. I also have a Discord server you can join. We are a witchy community. All paths, not just Christian witches, but all paths are welcome, and we just have talks, and we go on VC and chill together, and we just provide a support system if needed. And right now we have a profile picture making contest going on with some amazing prizes. And so you could definitely join in on that, but you have to join the server to do that. The link will be below so that you can join. You just click the Linktree link, and then there's the Crystal Caverns is the name of the server that you could join. If you have a video idea you want to share with me, you want me to make a video on something, also click the link in my Linktree, click the video ideas Google form, fill it out, and I will do an episode on anything you suggest. And finally, if you want to support my small business, you can book a divination reading from me in the Linktree link. And support me, because I would really appreciate it. And I love doing these readings. Everyone has meant something to me, and I remember every reading I've done, and I just love it. So yeah, if you want to support, please do. That's it. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Blessed be. Have a wonderful day, week, month, and year.